Hey, good afternoon, my dear, beloved brothers and sisters. Hey, this is Matthew, Mr. Hope Richerzhagen with Phenomenal Marriage, and I just wanted to shoot a video to answer the question, what if my marriage feels broke? And I feel for you. I know what it's like to be in a marriage that feels like it's broken. I know what it's like to just feel like there's no hope and nothing's ever going to change, and you just look at yourself and you're just like, what have I gotten myself into? And I want to offer you in this video, I want to offer you hope. First of all, I want to offer you hope. Number two, I want to empower you. Number three, I want to equip you. And number four, I want to encourage you, because no matter where you are, and this is the one thing that I want to start with, you are who you are and where you are because of what's gone on in your mind. You can change who you are and where you are by changing what goes on in your mind. And I want to start with a story that Tony Robbins told. Tony Robbins is a great coach. He's a great author, just all motivational speaker, all these things. And he actually was the one who taught me to be a life and relationship coach. I got actually certified by his organization. And one of the things that he told us in the process of this education, he was speaking in a crowd. There were 3,000 people in the audience. And he said, I would like everyone in the audience who works out 5 days a week or more to stand up. And all these fit people stand up. And Tony said, I want you to think about what you knew those people were going to look like when they stood up. And there's a disconnect in our mind sometimes between what we do and what we have. And I think that was really helpful for me. Every single person who works out 5 days a week, now if you just started in this is your first week, obviously you might still be overweight, like for sure. But you're going to reap whatever you sow. And all these super fit, all these just handsome, fit, amazing men stood up. And all these beautiful and fit and attractive women stood up in this audience of 3,000 people. And you're just like, wow. And you know what? Here's the thing. Any single person that was in that audience could listen to what Tony asked. How many people work out 5 days a week or more? And they could say to themselves, I could look like that. And here's what I want to say today as you're watching this video, as I want to give you hope. No matter how dark it looks right now where you are, there's hope that your relationship can be full of love, full of respect, full of empathy, full of physical intimacy, full of understanding, full of communication, full of compassion. You can change your relationship. People say, well, I want to change, but my spouse doesn't. You don't need two people. I guarantee you that. This is true in my life. I've helped hundreds of people improve their marriages. And you have to say, what can I do? The question isn't so much about your spouse, it's about you. And so I started with the point about Tony Robbins and all the people that work out 5 days a week or more stand up. How many of you have watched a sports contest? And I'm going to use football. I don't watch football, but I love to watch football movies. And my wife is like, that's so weird. My favorite movie of all time is Facing the Giants. And it's a football movie. I love football movies, but I don't watch football. I don't have a TV. I don't watch football, but I love football movies. Anyway, how many times have you seen a sports event and like the score is 21-7 at halftime? They go into halftime and the team that has 7 comes back and wins the game. How many of you have seen that? It happens over and over. It happens all the time. It's the same people. It's the same team in the same stadium at the same time. How can that be? The answer is they changed what they believed. They changed what they focused on. Often when a winning team goes into the locker room at the end of the first half, they're way ahead, and instead of playing to win, they play not to lose. And in doing so, they lose the game. And here's the thing, here's the hope that I'm just sending the vibes. You can just feel the love. You can just feel the hope coming right across. This is being recorded. And I just applaud that you're here. You're listening. You want to learn. That's the first step. You can change your situation by owning your part. And this is the thing. This transformed my marriage. This transformed my life. Completely, absolutely changed my life. I went from darkness to light by this one statement. I learned from Bob Proctor. My life, my feelings, my results are my responsibility. That statement right there changed my marriage. It changed my life. It changed my business. Here is the thing, my dear beloved brothers and sisters. Usually spousal problems aren't so much my spouse is bad. This is usually what I hear, especially women complain more than men. I don't know if they're just more vocal or what the deal is, but usually they say, my husband is narcissistic. My husband is lacking compassion. He's a bad animal. Normally what I find, it's not so much the spouse, it's not so much the individual as it is the pattern. Because when you're in a marriage, you're in a relationship, you're in a pattern. And you guys interact together. There's a dance that you're doing. And the thing is, you can change the dance because you change how you show up. And some people will be like, well, no matter what I do, my spouse is going to be like this. I encourage you to think about this statement right here. Police deal with aggression and they deal with egression, where people are trying to get away, and they also deal with people who don't move. They just absolutely don't do anything. Okay? They just lay down. Like there's a protest and the people just refuse. The police say, nope, you have to get up and I'm going to arrest you. And they refuse to move. Is it easy to move that person or is it hard? Have you ever moved a 200-pound person? Not who was fighting you, not who was trying to kill you. They just didn't help you. Have you ever experienced that? Probably not if you're not a policeman. And thank the Lord for our dear policemen and women. The thing is, your behavior affects your spouse. I guarantee you this. And here's the thing. This is a promise I want to make for you. 100% of the time, if you're not willing to own your part and take the first step, you'll never take the second step. I found that to be true 100% of the time. And what we're talking about now is you're starting to get that you're like, well, maybe I can change. Maybe like if teams can completely turn around, they go to a locker room, they take a little break, they come out and the outcome of the game completely changes. Yeah, that happens. I know that happens. It's happening. I know other people that they had a difficult marriage and they turned it around. Now they're happily married. That's possible. Like it changed. So if it's possible, maybe it can happen for me. So that's the very first step. The very first step is to be open to the possibility. To be open to the possibility. Say, well, maybe this could happen for me. It does happen. People's relationships transform. Mine did. I've helped literally hundreds of people improve their marriages. So if it happened for me and it's happened for hundreds of other people, maybe it could happen for you. So that's step number one. Step number two is for you to say, maybe it could happen for me. Maybe you kind of like accept that as a possibility. So let's assume your marriage is dark as night. Like your spouse is always mad at you, never seeks to meet your needs. Like it's horrible. You're just living in a living pit. It's like living in hell. Okay? So you're listening to me right now and you're like, wow, maybe there's hope. Maybe there's hope. Let me ask you this question. Is there something you could do right now today that would make your relationship worse? Well, yeah. Now, doesn't it stand to reason that if there's something you could do right now to make your marriage worse, that there would be something you could do right now to make your marriage better? So number one is you see that as a possibility. Number two, I'm going to encourage you. It doesn't matter how small your part is. Your part could be 1% of the equation. Own your part. In Matthew 7, it says, Don't judge other people, because with the same measure you use, it's going to be used unto you. And then it says this right here. It says, judge yourself first. It says, first remove the beam that's in your own eye so you can see clearly to see the speck that's in your brother or sister, depending on which, if you're the husband or wife. So you can see clearly what's in their eye. You are governmentally blind if you're not willing to own your part. And I've worked with this couple. They're not like, I'm not counseling them, but they're people, this is a couple from my church. And the husband blames the wife 100%, and she blames the husband 100%, and they're going through a divorce proceeding. It's the saddest thing you ever saw in your whole life. But the thing is, for both of them, it's all the other person's fault. 100%. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can change. And I will guarantee you this. If you blame your spouse, you lose your power. Do you want power to affect change in your life? If you do, you start right here with me right now today, and you're going to own your part. It doesn't matter if your spouse is 99% of the problem. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. Step number one is for you to own your part. And you say, you know what, Matt? It takes some real humility because my spouse is a total jerkwad, and he does this and this and this, and he's not kind, and he doesn't listen to me, and he looks at other women when they walk by, and you could just go on and on and on. Or you could say, my wife is so disrespectful, and she's so critical, and she's never available for me, and she disregards me with the kids. Like, I totally get that. Totally. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to take baby steps. We're going to take step number one. We're going to own our part. I'm going to own my part. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm part of this, and I'm going to own that part. It may be so small. Like I said, it may be 1%. Up at my cleaning company, I had all these employee problems for years. It was miserable. I was miserable, and they were miserable. And one day I asked this 4-word question. What if it's me? And you know what? It was me. And when I changed, everything changed. I have an amazing company. I love my people, and they love coming to work. I do surveys to ask them every so often, every quarter, how are you enjoying working at work? 5 out of 5 stars every time. They love working at the company. They're productive, they're profitable, they're happy. 5-star Google reviews. It's amazing. But it started with me. Was I all the problem? Of course not. But the fish always rots at the head. That's for you guys. That was a little subliminal push for you to take responsibility. So number one is you're going to say, what is my part? And you're going to own it. And here's the second thing I'm going to tell you to do, that I'm going to encourage you to do. And this completely changes the relationship, because you guys you act and your wife reacts. You act and your husband reacts. And it just goes like this, because you're connected. You guys are connected because you're married. So if one of you moves, the other one has to move. And they get to choose. It's not about control. And I want to be very clear about that, because part of the problem, a large part of the problem, especially for women, is they're trying to control their husband. And it doesn't work. You can have control or intimacy. You can't have both. It just totally doesn't work. This is about letting your spouse show up as their best self and encouraging them to show up more and more and more and more. So number one, you're going to own your part. Number two, you're going to express that part to your spouse. You're going to verbalize, write it out, or verbally say it, or both. That's even better. And you're going to say, hey, in this situation, pick something specific. Don't say, yeah, I didn't used to be the easiest husband. Yeah, honey, I haven't always been the nicest wife. I mean, that's nice. That's a good place to start. But it would be far better if you'd say, in our last argument, that went on for days and weeks and months and years, I see that I was trying to control your response in this, or I see that I was, whatever you are, and just express that to them. Don't try and get an apology from them. That's control. What you're doing is you're just making an admission. You're repenting, rethinking, and you're making a bid for them. And that's what that is. And you're making a bid without any expectations. And you just say, hun, you know what? For the last 12 weeks or the last 50 years or whatever it is, I've been really working on this, and I haven't been listening to you to understand your heart like I should have been. I've been getting defensive because I felt attacked. That's a beautiful start. Or for a woman to say, you know what, honey, I haven't been letting you lead. You're the boss. You're the leader of this family. And I'm constantly getting in your way, and I'm really sorry. Please forgive me. That's huge. So you understand that you're part of this. Number 2, you own your part. Number 3, you express your part. Okay, now here we're really going to get dirty. We're going to pull our gloves on, okay? We're really going to get dirty. And from that point, what you're going to do is you're going to change your behavior and invite your spouse to come to your level. So what happens is our spouse, he doesn't say, I love you. He doesn't, whatever. This is just an example. And the wife says, well, if you're going to be like that, I'm not going to make love to you. Well, she doesn't make love to me, so I'm not going to say I love you, and I'm going to ignore her when I'm home. Well, you're a jerkwad, so I'm not going to make you dinner. Well, and it's a spiral that goes like this, bam, until nobody has anything. And that's exactly what happens. And you break that cycle by quit reacting to your spouse. You own your part. She says, hey, this is what I've been doing. Or he says, hey, this is what I've been doing. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that anymore. And you take responsibility for your role. What am I supposed to be doing as a husband? I'm supposed to be leading, loving, lifting. What am I supposed to be doing as a wife? I'm supposed to be turning towards my husband, letting him lead. I'm supposed to be supporting him. I'm supposed to be cheering him on. This isn't that hard, you guys. My dear beloved brothers and sisters, it's simple. It's just not easy because my ego gets in the way. Your ego gets in the way. You want what you want, and you want your spouse to pony up, and you want to do it without doing anything. And that's not how life works. And I just want to share this analogy in here really quick. If you go to the fridge all the time and you take food out of it all the time, let's say you do that for a week, what are you going to find when you open the fridge? Just like all those people that worked out 5 days a week, they stood up and they were all fit and trim. When you open your fridge, what are you going to find? Nothing. Why? Because you're always taking and you're not giving. If you always withdraw from your bank account over and over and over, what are you going to find when you go to your bank account? It's empty. You're going to find a goose egg. Not a golden egg, a goose egg. Why? Because you're constantly withdrawing. If you're constantly expecting something from your spouse and you're not investing in them, you are going to run them out. That's just the plain and simple. And people say all the time, well, they need to invest into me so I can take care of them. Well, yes, that's true, sort of, but you have to take the lead. And you say, well, who should go first, the husband or the wife? If you're listening and you can comprehend what I'm saying, you take the first move. God's calling both men and women to step up, to man up or woman up and do their job. And so often I hear people and they're like, well, when the grass is green, I'm going to water it. Have you ever heard that? When the grass is green, I'm going to water it. No, nobody's ever said that. That's stupid. That's foolish. Have you ever heard this? When he acts respectable, I'll respect him. Doesn't that sound the same? When the grass is green, I'll water it. When my spouse acts respectfully, I'll respect him. How about this one? When my wife acts lovable, I'll love her. Hello? When the grass is green, I'll water it. No. It doesn't work that way. You water it and then you get green grass. You go to work and then you get paid. Try this with your employer. Say, hey, why don't you go ahead and pay me for next year and then I'll come to work for you next year. No, nobody's going to do that. That's crazy. But we expect that somehow in our mind, in our relationship. Somehow we figure out, well, all the rest of the rules in life aren't going to apply in my marriage. They all apply. There's moral gravity. Just like when you drop an object like this, it falls. Why does it fall? Does it fall every time? Every single time, unless there's a law stronger than the law of gravity that's acting on it. Like if it was hooked to a helium balloon, it would float away. Why? Because the helium is stronger than gravity. But if you drop something, it's going to fall 100% of the time. It's a rule. It's a law of nature. If you attack your spouse, they're going to get defensive 100% of the time. It's a rule. A soft answer turneth away wrath, but harsh words stir up strife. So you're going to own your part. You're going to express that to your spouse, and then you're going to decide, you know what? I can't change my spouse. I'm going to start inviting them into my better story, and I'm going to encourage them to be the way I want them to be, understanding that I can't change them. I'm not trying to control them. Okay? So, dear beloved sisters, you're not trying to control your husband. You say to him, honey, I would really appreciate it if you would, whatever, if you would give me flowers once a month. How cool is that? And it gives him the opportunity to come and be the man and be the hero. And you say, oh, honey, that's so cool. Thanks for thinking of me. And if you say, you only did that because I asked you, you're pouring gas on the lawn and you're lighting it. You won't have a lawn. Like, don't do that. And guys, you might say, honey, I really appreciate it when you're physically available for me and you're willing to make love to me. Thank you. That's really awesome. And you got to understand, guys, if you want more physical affection, women are open physically when they're open emotionally. So if she's not happy with you, the more you push for what you need, the more you're pushing her away. Okay? And you can say, well, my wife is like this. Okay. Does the grass need water? Yes. What can you do about that? You can listen. You can seek to understand. You can seek to win her heart. Okay? You need physical affection. I totally get that. God designed you that way. That's how you came from the factory. Sisters, that's what he needs. That's his second emotional need. His deepest abiding emotional need is respect. If you don't like him, he doesn't feel that. And that's a train wreck in your relationship. And second is physical affection. So guys, you need to man up and realize, okay, she's not interested in physical affection. This is a big deal. Or she's not respectful. She doesn't like me. She won't listen to me. She won't follow me. So just go in your mind's eye with me. The refrigerator is empty. I'm part of this. I have a part, no matter how small. There's something I can do about it, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start watering the lawn. I'm going to start putting food in the refrigerator. I'm going to start doing little sweet things. I'm going to own my part. I'm going to own my bad attitude when I have one. That's huge. A lot of times as guys, we don't understand that we're spinning into our wives as she's spinning into us. And it's a cycle. It's not so much a bad wife or a bad husband. It's a bad cycle. And when you break the cycle, which I'm going to share here in just a minute, it's so powerful. So powerful. So guys, understand emotional connection leads to physical connection, okay? Emotional intimacy, David Fry says, leads to physical intimacy. And David Fry is a great guy. So you understand, hey, I'm part of this. This is something she needs. So I'm going to man up. I'm going to show up to meet that need. Okay, guys? So it's about listening to your wife. It's about caring for her. Are you mad at her? Get rid of that. Get rid of all your expectations. Well, she's mad at me. She may be. Let her be who she is. Let her have her feelings. Let her get as mad as she wants. Okay? Quit trying to control her. Listen, empathize, and lead. The number one thing I see that's wrong with guys is they react to their wife. Their wife's unhappy, so they're in a bad mood. They're in, like, guys, you're the leaders. God made you the leader. Lead. Okay? Now, my dear beloved sisters, this portion here is for you. So you say, my husband has withdrawn. My husband plays with his phone all the time. My husband doesn't do anything. He doesn't emotionally connect with me. His deepest abiding emotional need is respect that we talked about. And the second one is physical intimacy. If a guy doesn't feel respected, if you don't like him, he's either going to get mad and attack you and be angry, or he's going to withdraw. And most men are men of honor, and they withdraw. They don't want to fight. They were taught it's not right to fight with a woman, even if it's his wife, so they withdraw. So you're going to start, remember, if the fridge is empty, if you keep taking stuff out of it all the time, the fridge is empty. So you're going to start thinking about, okay, I'm not meeting my husband's needs. He's not meeting my needs. He's not listening. He's not present. he's not participating with me. Your job right here is to say, okay, I'm part of this. There's something I can do about it. You own your part. You apologize for it. Say, honey, I'm sorry. I haven't been listening to you. I haven't been following you. When there's a deal with the kids, I cut you off and I intervene. I understand that that's absolutely forbidden in parenting, that we need to work it out and we need to be a team. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. That's a huge start. And for you to understand, you open that fridge and you're just envisioning, okay, how does my husband feel? I don't like him. I'm frustrated with him. I'm mad at him. His fridge is empty. The grass is totally dry. It's not going to grow. So what you need to do is you need to go and you need to water that grass. And you do that by liking your spouse. Most women don't like their spouse. Most women are unhappy with their men. And I don't know. Women really struggle with the commitment to contentment. I don't know. That's just in the flesh. Women struggle with that. I've seen that. And here's the thing. If you are thankful for your man, it will soften and change your heart. If you say, instead of he leaves his socks in the living room, instead of saying, that dirty, rotten guy, he leaves his stuff all over the house, he's always making the house dirty, if you'll change that to a gratitude, thank you, Lord, that my husband is still alive and he's still in this house. And he's still here. He's still with me. He's faithful to me. It will change your heart. You will go from judgment and condemnation to empathy. And that'll transform your marriage right there. When you own your part, you own that you're part of this. And you see, you know what? There's something I could do. I'm not listening. I'm not following him. I'm not loving him. I'm not serving him. I'm not available. And then you start, you know what? You open that fridge and you know what he's going to start to feel? His relationship's completely different. All of a sudden, his wife is towards him. His wife appreciates him. His wife wants him to win. His wife loves him. And you know what? Guys always want to serve their wives if they feel like they can. Men are, the way God made us, we want to be heroes. That's just the human nature of being a male. And we love rescuing women in distress. Honey, could you help me take the garbage out? I'd love to do that for you. Hey, you big stud, could you cut that tree out this weekend? Sure, I'd love to do that for you. Guys respond to that when it's done in a respectful way, without control, without judgment and condemnation. If I don't do it, are you going to beat me up? Because if you are, it's not an honest request. It's control. So you look in the fridge and you say, okay, his deepest dividing emotional need is respect. I got to like him. I got to admire him. I got to look up to him. Am I his cheerleader or am I his boo squad? That, if you think about it like that, it's one or the other very often. These things, it's simple. It's not easy because our ego gets in the way, but it's really simple. Number 2, am I physically available for him? Guys want to have a woman, pardon me, who wants to make love to them. They want a lover. They want a girlfriend. You go to that fridge. What does my husband need? Am I providing that for him? Start right there. It'll transform your marriage. And guys, a woman's deepest abiding emotional need is love. She needs to be cherished. We say it in our wedding vows, to have and to hold, to love and to cherish from this day forward, forsaking all others. Like, a woman needs to feel special. She needs to feel loved. Guys, a woman, you say, my wife is lazy. My wife is all about the kids. My wife, you know what? Women are so powerful. And if you win her heart and she's on your team, a woman will work like you wouldn't believe it. Women are so cool, guys. So cool. And if your wife is unhappy, you think about what's in the fridge. Is she getting love? Does she feel important? The number one thing you do to win her heart is to listen, not try to fix what's wrong. I had to learn that. Pardon me. A lot of guys had to learn that. They had to learn she doesn't want me to fix her. And my wife, I'll ask her, I'll say, babe, do you want me to listen or do you want a solution? Invariably, she'll say, just listen. That's how women feel connected. That's how they feel loved. Just schedule a regular time where you come home and you take your wife and you flop on the couch with her and you're just like, hey, babe, tell me about your day. And look her in the eyes. No distractions, just you and her. Wow, really, honey? Man, that sounds rough. She loves that. That's a good one. That sounds rough. That sounds really hard. Oh, wow, babe. Just empathize with her. You're not trying to fix her. You're not trying to And if someone shares bad feelings and you say you shouldn't feel like that, they don't feel heard. Okay, that's a 10-second tip. You can change your relationship in 10 seconds. Instead of saying, oh, come on, it can't be that bad. They feel like you're arguing with them. They feel like you're not listening. Empathize with them. So often when men feel like their wives are always negative, it's often because they aren't listening. And if you just listen, just for a few minutes, then she'll feel way better. Hey, he cares about me. He listened to me. How are you doing now? I feel better. Really? You were grumping a few minutes ago. Yeah, but can she explain that? I don't know, but she'll feel better. So her deepest abiding emotional need is love, and it's listening. And number 2 is security. Does she feel secure? When she opens that fridge, is there security in there? Is she your one and only? Are you constantly communicating that you love her, that you value her, that you appreciate her? How can I serve you? What can I do for you? I'm here for you. You're blazing the trail, brother. And I don't mean disregarding what she wants. Don't misunderstand me. People contribute to a world they help create, so you need to slow down, circle back, and get her on your team. But you need to blaze the trail. You need to break trail in the snow. It's your job. And yeah, it's tough. That's why God made you the leader. Okay, so we talked about those things. They're going to open the fridge, and the relationship is going to be different. Okay? Now, here is one final thing that I want to share in this video. So we talked about you can change your relationship. We talked about owning my part, however small it is. We talked about expressing that to my spouse. Hey, I'm really sorry. We talked about seeking to meet your spouse's needs. So in that fridge, your husband's going to find respect. He's going to find physical affection. For a woman, she's going to open that fridge and she's going to find love. You listen to her, you write her little cards, you buy her little gifts, you express to her that she's important to you. And number 2 is security. Your eyes are only hers. And guys, I just can't say this enough. Some guys feel like they can look at whatever they want online or even in person, and it doesn't matter because it's there for them to view. And your eyes, Job said, I made a covenant with my eyes that I would not look at anything defiling. And what you choose to look at, like you can't control if some picture goes by, but you can control if you click on it. And it is not harmless. These things hurt us as men. They hurt our integrity. They hurt our minds. They hurt our eyes. And they affect our lives. And guys, I encourage you to man up. I can tell you this as a man for myself. I have never sought out pornography online ever in my life. And I've seen stuff. Stuff showed up in an email. Stuff showed up in social media or whatever. But I've never sought anything out. I have pure eyes. I made a covenant, and I just pray the Lord's help and protection and guidance in my life. And I'm telling you that you will feel, it talks about the breastplate of righteousness, and you will feel free in your soul. You will feel free to honor and serve your wife if that's true of you. And if you're in a bunch of junk, repent. Go find accountability partner. And get out of that junk. Cry out to the Lord. Ask for help. Reach out for help. There's help, and you can make a difference. Now, briefly here at the end, I just want to share how you transform. So something's going bad, something's going south. If you don't react, it takes the power out of your spouse's bad behavior. And I'll give you an example. There's a couple that I know. And his wife is a little bit, she's not a bad wife. She's very beautiful. She's very powerful. With a different husband, they would struggle. Okay? The couple would struggle because it's not about the man and the woman so much as it is the combination. Remember I said that. But she can get excited and she can get a little difficult to deal with. But he is so laid back and he's so secure in his manhood that he doesn't react. He doesn't jump into the pony wagon. You've heard the story about keep the wagon before the horse. Don't put the cart before the horse. So what happens is if I get all worked up, my spouse gets worked up and I get worked up with them, woo! We just went off on the crazy cycle. And the crazy cycle, according to Emerson Eggerichs from Love and Respect Ministries, is when a man feels disrespected, he acts without love. When a woman feels unloved, she acts without respect. And around and around and around we go until it's just like that funnel. That's a crazy cycle, till nobody has anything. It's totally destroyed, just like a hurricane went through, okay, or a tornado. So what you're going to do is when your spouse is agitated, when your spouse is excited, when your spouse is mad, you're going to let them be. Just let them be as mad as they want to be. Dear beloved brothers, if your wife is mad, you dirty, rotten, she's blaming you, she's attacking you, you just let her be as mad as she wants to be. And I'm not saying you're impassive. I'm not saying you don't feel her feelings, but those feelings are her, they're not you. So she's just all worked up and she's all mad and you're like, wow, babe, it sounds like you're really upset. Would you like to share with me more about that? All that power, instead of being bounced into you and bouncing back off of her and building up and increasing and increasing and increasing till you have this huge explosion, you just drained all the power out of that big interaction. She's all mad, she's all worked up, and you just say, wow, babe, sounds like you're really hurt. Would you like to share about that? And it's not that you don't care. Some people just feel like, oh, well, I'll just be stoic. It's about listening without reacting. And ladies, your husband might be so mad. He's, you dirty, rotten, you always, you never. And you just say it just like this. You just say, wow, honey, it sounds like you're really upset. Would you like to share more about that? Instead of the negative energy from one of you hitting the other one, bouncing back and hitting the other one, bouncing back and hitting the other one, and it escalates and escalates and escalates, it's over because you broke the cycle. And that, my dear beloved brother, and that, my dear beloved sister, will change your relationship. It's possible for your relationship to go, no matter how bad it is, no matter how dark it is, it's possible for it to improve, for it to change, and even be glorious, more than you could ever imagine. You understand that. It's possible. Number two, it doesn't take two people to change a marriage. It takes one person to start, to own their part. You're going to own your part, however small it is, even if it's only 1%. You're going to express that to your spouse. You're going to say, hey, babe, when this happened, I should have done it differently. I could have done it differently. I'm sorry. From now on, I'm not going to be like that. Number five, you're going to seek to show up as your best self, and you're going to do your life in such a way that you invite them into your life. You're going to act in such a way so that when they open the refrigerator in your relationship, for your husband, he's going to see respect and he's going to see physical intimacy. And when the wife, guys, when your wife opens the fridge, she's going to see love and she's going to see security. Okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to finally break the bad cycles by not reacting. You're going to let your spouse just get as mad as they want to get. You're not going to react. You're going to be present. Wow, that sounds really rough. Would you like to share more about that? But you don't get involved. You don't step into the cycle. If you will do these things, it will transform your marriage, just as every single one of those people, Tony Robbins asked, he said, how many of you people work out 5 days a week? Please stand up. If you do these things, and you're at my next marriage conference, and I ask you if you do these things, and you raise your hand, you start doing these things, and you stand up and I ask you, how satisfied are you in your marriage? It will make a difference. I want to applaud you for being here, for listening, and here's where the rubber meets the road. Art Williams says, just do it. Information without action is entertainment. And it's really easy. It's like new information is all exciting and everything, but it doesn't change your life until you change how you act. You've acted yourself into the hole that you're in if you're in a hole. And the only way out of that hole, the first thing you do is quit digging. The next thing you do is you change your behavior. You start to change and view things differently in your mind. It changes your behavior, it changes what you do, and you get a different outcome. Because remember, we always reap what we sow. So now you know, and I encourage you, just do it. Just go and do it. You're not going to do it perfectly, but you're going to do it. You're going to say, okay, I'm going to own my part. I'm going to woman up. I'm going to own my part. I'm going to man up if you're the husband. And I'm going to show up differently. and it's going to change your marriage. Thank you so much for watching. May God richly bless you. Here at Phenomenal Marriage, we're here to equip you, empower you, and encourage you to experience God's very best for your marriage, helping you overcome friction, frustration, and power struggles, and grow to become soulmates. One flesh, spirit, soul, and body, just as God intended. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.